Hello fellow racers and welcome to this video when we will be talking about eSport WTCC RaceRoom setup. I picked Chevrolet Cruze because, I don't know, I like the car, I like Tom Coronel, I'm a big fan of him. So I was about to go for the Suzuka and show you guys my setup for this track, because these cars are really like, it's really hard to tell, because these cars are really important to set up right, because it's front wheel car, it's really hard to drive and to set up with everything, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with the car, and yeah, that's about it. So let's go into the garage, take a look on the setup. I will do comparison with the default setup as well. So this is the default setup of the car. I'm gonna load my fastest setup for today. This. I'm gonna split the screen a little bit and we can compare the setups right now. I'm not telling that my setup is exactly correct, that it's the best setup, but it works for me perfectly at this moment. And yeah, I think with the Chevrolet it's really hard to be on the top of the leaderboard, but we will see in the next week. I finished my Mercedes e-racing competition. I'm going to Hockenheim next week, so if you want to stay touched, if you want to see it, how does it look like to be actually in the eSport competition from RaceRoom in actual Hockenheim in a DTM championship, it will be beautiful. Just subscribe to my channel, take a look on the Twitter and everything. I will post every news there and all the background, all the everything. I will do a little vlog. I will take my girlfriend with me and we will shoot some videos. How does it look to be on the actual place on the Hockenheim DTM, racing against the professional racing drivers from Mercedes and everything. It's gonna be interesting. I can't really, literally can't wait. So anyway, let's skip this and go for the setup. As you can see right away, my setup is completely different from the default setup from every point of view probably, and I'm just gonna talk you about it a little bit. So we will start. One of the most crucial thing when you will just jump on the track with these cars, you will literally find yourself, because it's very powerful car with front wheel drive, you will really find out that you have a lot of understeer, oversteer, and on the acceleration your wheels spin a lot and it just understeer you out from the corner on the exit. One of the good things to avoid that is to set up your differential right. As again, I'm not entirely sure if it's correct, my settings, but it works really good. So as you can see, differential, I have 66 power, 44 coast and preload on 30 at this moment. Yeah, it's just I want to avoid, if I go on the lower settings in power and preload, it will make sure that when I accelerate, one wheel will spin and other don't. But with front wheel drive, I really need both wheels to be spinning together to avoid understeer. As my point of view, I'm not entirely sure it's correct, but it works great. So this is the default setup for my differential, and I think if you go for preload 20, 15, 20, 30, it works almost the same. I don't know, with 30 I did my best lap so far, so that's about it. Then we go for aerodynamics. It's hard to tell, I'm using one. I have seen a lot of people in different leagues, not in this particular one, using more wing, but I think the one wing just works the best. Problem with this car is that when you lift the throttle, it oversteers terribly, but when you push the throttle and you really need the power and get the top speed from the corner, you have a huge amount of understeer. That's the problem of the front wheel drive cars. To avoid that, you have to make sure the car is real well balanced and you have a lot of I prefer a lot of understeer, most of the understeer, especially when I push the throttle. So that's why I have wing 1. Brake pressure 68 or 70 is okay, really depends what you like. And then I go on the springs. I started with really hard springs because the car is most stable there, but also you have a lot of understeer on the acceleration. So you can make rear really hard and it will make the car really like easy to turn around, so it works perfectly for me. Front, I really needed the front to be stable on the acceleration, on the bumps and everywhere, so I'm on the lowest settings at this moment and it works okay. Camber, I'm not entirely sure about the camber, because usually on the when I was racing on front wheel drive cars, we have a really huge amount of negative camber on the front and a little less on the rear, but obviously it works really great to have the maximum camber on the both front and rear. If you have the negative camber really high on the rear, it just helps you to stabilize the car in the high speed corners a little bit. Anti-roll bar, I'm using high settings on the front because as I said before, I need really like to have a lot of stability on the bumps and when I push the throttle, so that's why I'm using this. And anti-roll on the rear, I'm just trying to avoid oversteer on high speed corners, especially on Suzuka, which you will see right at the end of the video, my Hotlap. There are like two places when you have a lot of understeer. It's the first corner and the spoon, or it's 180R, I don't know. It's one of these corners, real high speed corner to the left before the chicane, and that's really crucial to go through there. Bump rebound on the front and rear, I have mostly default. I don't know honestly what to do with these settings. I don't know what does it do properly. Basically, I think if you go on the lowest settings, it's very good on the bumpy tracks, but you have a lot of understeer. The toe-in, it's hard to tell. On the rear, it's better to have a little higher amount, like 20 or something like that, but I'm using at this moment 0, because, I don't know, it worked for me at that moment. Because I really need, if I go higher, I have more stability on the rear. If I go lower, on the negative, which is stupid, you get a lot of oversteer, so that helps. On the front, I try to get, usually on the front wheel drive you have a lot of toe in, like going out on negative, because you just need a car to accelerate properly, but I don't know why it works better like this. Well, yeah, I hope these settings will help you guys, and right now we are going for my Hotlap lap. It's not very good lap. I just tried to record it and it worked somehow, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy these videos. If you do, just let me know, follow me on Twitter, hit subscribe, and cross your fingers for me in the Mercedes AMG DTM eSport competition from RaceRoom next week in Hockenheim. It's gonna be crazy. So let's just watch the Hotlap lap and see you guys in the next video.